of the MEC for failing to implement this and mitigate against this.
Political analyst Dr. Charles Sinkala says the debacle between Zambia and the Lungu family has had a negative impact on both parties. Dr. Sinkala says the manner in which the matter has been carried out has sent the wrong message. His comments come after the dispute over the burial of the former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has been postponed indefinitely in the High Court to allow for the matter to be heard in the Constitutional Court. The Lungu family lawyer turned to the Apex Court last week after the High Court ordered that the former president's remains be repatriated to Zambia for burial. Lungu died in June while receiving medical attention in South Africa. He told Channel Africa that Africa should desist from bringing such issues to the fore.
Even though we sympathize with both parties, especially the interest of the family to put to rest their deceased family, we must also consider the impact that has done to the national interest and as well as the productivity of our nation.
Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has arrived in Japan for the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Mnangagwa is leading a delegation comprising of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Finance and others for the two-day event which begins tomorrow. ZANU-PF's Communications Director, Farai Marapira.
As Zimbabwe, we've thrown off the pariah status that we've had over the years through the disinformation campaign that was against us. And we are now one of the prime investment destinations in Africa. We are a haven of resource. And this is what we are building upon. We are a country that has opened its doors to all and sundry, and the president has made it very clear that our doors are open. We're willing to parley, we're willing to talk, we're willing to thrive together with anyone who wants to join us in mutual beneficiation. So this is essentially our angle, and this is essentially our message as led by our president. Anything that can aid us in pushing forward our growth agenda towards an upper middle income economy by the year 2030.
Lastly, European leaders have welcomed U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement that the U.S. would be involved in providing security guarantees for Ukraine. That's after talks at the White House with European leaders who have also given a largely positive account to their talks while stressing the need for an immediate ceasefire. The BBC's Tom Bateman.
The Europeans have been saying ceasefire first, so you get the Russians to agree to stop and then you negotiate potentially over territorial concessions by Ukraine. The other way round means that the fighting continues, and yet Mr. Zelensky is expected to concede territory to Vladimir Putin, which obviously puts him in a far weaker position. And yet it seems that they have failed in that. And they've been pushing again to get a ceasefire immediately, and then you do the negotiations following that, or as part of that. But certainly Mr. Trump is not in that place.
For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
I don't know what it is, but I always just battle to hear myself. But listen, here we are. It is 7 minutes into 1 p.m. in Central African time. Thank you for tuning in. A pleasure to have you join us on the upside. I'm trying to make a transition from off air to on air.
Can you hear yourself now?
No, I can hear myself, although you and I were talking all sorts of nonsense off air. So I'm trying to be professional, you see? Because this is the upside, your favorite space when we look at all things lifestyle, really moving through the African continent and finding all kinds of value that we can bring to you for the next 3 hours. My name is Matshako Musito and I steer this wonderful Airbus. Can we call it that? Can we call the upside like an Airbus?
It is an Airbus, is it not?
Yeah, I think it is.
Takes you from place to place, from continent to continent. Actually,
takes you from Cape to Cairo, baby.
From Cape to Cairo. I love that.
Isn't that a thing? So yes, I steer this wonderful Airbus with Tebogo Lekhuleni until 4 p.m. in Central African time. Happy Tuesday to you. It is the 19th of August 2025, also recognized globally as World Humanitarian Day. So we might unpack those themes as we speak on the show. But listen, we've got a show full of wonderful contributors and guests this afternoon, don't we?
Listen, buying your weight loss drugs online can be a problem. We're going to be talking about the high costs associated with buying illicit weight loss drugs. These Ozempics, what, but if it's not from the right people...
Ozempic.
Ozempic. Mm-hmm. Going to be talking about that because it's a problem, right?
It is.
What are the consequences that you may encounter in buying these illicit drugs online? Where do you go when things go wrong? Because you're not buying it from accredited dealers. And we'll be discussing some of these issues. And then later on today, what does wellness really mean? How your daily lifestyle choices can shape your well-being. When we think about it, Matshako, when last did you sort of do a study of yourself, like a SWOT analysis? Maybe not a SWOT analysis, but understand what my daily routine looks like. What does it feature? Does it take care of my mental health? Does it take care of my spiritual health? Does it take care of my physical health? Does your day include all of those things in a typical day? When you think about your routine, does it?
All the time. I don't drop the ball. Not to say that because I pay attention that everything is parfait. No, there's still things to work on. But I mean, this is a theme that's very close to my heart because I believe in holistic living and wellness and all those wonderful themes. And when I say holistic, I mean it. Like literally paying attention to your physiological being, like on another, where your ear is twitching and you know that there's something wrong. Where you could just walk into a room and feel like maybe I should go on a holiday because I don't like what Tebogo is saying to me today.
You see,
maybe it's got nothing to do with it. Maybe I really just need to take a week off to find myself.
Holistic
well-being, yes.
I tell you what, Matshako is very big on organic as well in her lifestyle. She makes her own pumpkin and her own fruit. I don't know how, but she does it. And then later on, we'll be getting into our film segment. We'll be talking about a new film coming to South Africa. It's called A Cop and a Half. We'll be getting into conversation with the executive producer, Yusuf Stevens, and the lead actor, Jonathan Boynton Lee. You may remember him from the days of Top Billing. He's an actor also, that one. We'll be getting into conversation with him. But it's 11 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to The Upside.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Talati?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Xoli Kuleni and Mateko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
On a Sunday morning, she won't do something, I won't go church. On a Monday morning, I won't do something, she won't go walk. I no move this way. Police, yeah. Police, she don't take my heart, they go. Police, yeah. Police, she don't take my heart, they go. Do you body me, my baby? If money no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la nonsense, will you body me, my baby? If you body no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la nonsense, Friday morning she want attention, I want to yoga. On a Friday night when I want attention, she want to roll out. I better don't move this way. I better. Police, yeah. Police, she don't thief my heart, they go. Police, yeah. Police, she don't thief my heart, they go. Do you body me, my baby? If money no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la nonsense, will you body me, my baby? If you body no dey, I like you again, I like you again. Papa la nonsense, Negere for your chona no, oh your chona bojela. Oh some men be na remedio, eh chona nuera.
Music by Kids Daniel coming through, featuring Angelique Kidjo and Johnny Dele with The Police, the title of the song. I've got to really just commend Angelique for her strategy. Can I call it that? Maybe it's not necessarily a strategy, but just her collaborations with young people is amazing. And she's very intentional about it, you know. The Soweto Gospel Choir from South Africa. She's collaborated with many Nigerian artists,
Davido
including
also?
Yemi Alade, Davido, and now she's working with Kids Daniel. I know at some point when I had a conversation with her, she's like, one day I'm gonna work with Choma Josie. One day we're gonna do a song, and then one day we're gonna release it. You know, she's that mama. She's just so epic, and she loves young people. And she is, I mean, speaking of Humanitarian Day today, she is one of our most prized humanitarians on the African continent.
I love the fact that she's giving back to the young ones. Are we seeing more artists who have been established working with the young ones like she is? Actually, you know what, we can answer that
totally
a bit later. Let's get into our conversation this afternoon, because South Africa's health regulators are raising the alarm on a dangerous trend sweeping social media and online platforms: the sale of unapproved weight loss products. Medicines like Ozempic and Mounjaro, legally registered only for type 2 diabetes, are being misused and in some cases falsified, putting desperate consumers at serious risk. From fake ingredients to untested claims, the promise of quick results could come at a heavy cost to health. To help us unpack the medical risks and the bigger picture, we are joined by Dr. Sheldine Botha, a general practitioner. She's been on the show before. Dr. Sheldine, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about the growing risks of buying illicit drugs online for the purposes of weight loss. Why does this pose such a threat to the common consumer?
Well, I think first of all, if you think about it, the drugs that are out there currently is Schedule 4 drugs, which means you need a prescription. You definitely need to have some basic blood tests done before going on any of these drugs. You need to see a medical professional that helps you with just taking your history, what medications are you on, interactions, other chronic diseases. But now you are buying these drugs on Facebook Marketplace and from your local hair salon and your beauty parlor, and you're getting it from your personal trainer. And these are drugs that can be dangerous to you in the long term. The ones that are out there, they have not been tested. They are not SACRA approved. So there's no way for you to know what is in those drugs, and you are injecting them into your body.
This is very concerning, Dr. Botha. Let's talk about, I think I really want to stay on the Ozempic trend, because that is just now out of hand. And we've got to address what it is that is going to be done now, because as you mentioned, concern around, you can literally get this drug from every Tom, Dick and Mary, personal trainer, a friend, buy it off of social media. There's a big trend of buying online nowadays and really not knowing exactly what you're putting into your body. So let's talk about the Ozempic craze right now. I mean, this started off, or we know this medication to be approved for type 2 diabetes and the treatment thereof. How did we get to it becoming such a popular weight loss drug to the point where we're seeing so many fakes and illicit drugs in the name of Ozempic will help me lose weight quickly?
I think there's a number of reasons. So these drugs were developed for the treatment of diabetes, but along the way they saw that people are losing a lot of weight on this. So there is actually now a number of drugs that is classified and that is approved for weight loss, like the Wegovy that was recently launched this weekend, and Saxenda is also approved for weight loss. So those two drugs are specifically approved for weight loss. The Ozempics out there at the moment, Ozempic and Trulicity and Mounjaro are all approved for diabetes, not weight loss, although they are being used off-label. I think a big part of it is that we are moving in a direction where we try to get obesity seen as a chronic disease and not just a condition that you're suffering from, and that it is actually a genetic condition as well that needs to be managed on a chronic base. But unfortunately now there's all these money-hungry people out there that is abusing the system, that is putting whatever they want to into a syringe, and people are injecting this into their bodies. We have actually sent away some of the samples, and we found in some of them there's just salt water, and some of them there's insulin. I mean, if you're not diabetic and you inject insulin into your body, you will die because your sugar will go down. As with the GLPs, it's a glucose-dependent action. So you don't need to be diabetic to use a GLP. But the mechanism of action of a GLP is so intricate that it can't really be faked. There's no way someone who doesn't have a medical background, and even those who does, can make this product. You need a very specific recipe to make these products. And we are even seeing that some of the people are mixing these drugs. They are giving you more than one GLP. And you're not supposed to, so the GLPs fall into a class called incretins. And you're not supposed to be using two incretins together because it can cause kidney failure, kidney stones, GIT side effects. It can influence your thyroid. It can cause osteoporosis because of the rapid weight loss. So even if you're on a drug called basically Jara, that can, if you are on that drug, which is for diabetes, you're supposed to stop that before you move on to Ozempic, because no two incretins can be used together. And now we're finding that some doctors are mixing Ozempic and Mounjaro together. The sad thing is a lot of these medications are supplied by doctors. We see patients coming from Eastern Cape, from the Free State, from everywhere, getting their fake drugs from their doctors, which is very sad.
It is 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with general practitioner Dr. Sheldine Botha about the costs and the risks associated with buying illicit drugs online for the purposes of weight loss. We continue the conversation right after this.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
9 to 12 midday Central African time.
On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture. They influence people's thought processes. They set trends. They shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that they're embarking in that journey. And in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. The Upside. On the Upside. Your voice matters.
Sometimes a quick fix can lead to long-term health consequences, and you want to avoid those at all costs. We're talking about buying illicit drugs online for the purposes of weight loss, and we still continue our conversation with Dr. Sheldine Botha. Dr. Sheldine, let's talk about Ozempic. We'll stay on the topic as we alluded to earlier. Is it a good product to use to lose weight? Let's start there with a very basic one.
Okay, so short answer, yes. It is a very good drug to use for weight loss. So I was fortunate enough to be part of the World Obesity Conference that happened in Spain earlier this year. And the data we are getting on these drugs are amazing. Not just in terms of weight loss, but in terms of bringing down your cardiovascular risk, treatment of sleep apnea, treatment of liver cirrhosis. There seem to be studies going on addiction, that it helps for addiction. So these are amazing drugs. The Wegovy that is now launched is basically also semaglutide, which is just a stronger Ozempic, but that has now been registered for weight loss specifically. So I think we can start to move away from using Ozempic off-label for weight loss, and hopefully we will go back to only using it for diabetes, because we now do have Wegovy that is registered. So all practitioners can now prescribe Wegovy legally, not off-label, because that is what it is indicated for. But in short, yes, GLPs are absolutely amazing drugs. Whether you are using Mounjaro or Ozempic or Wegovy, it is very good drugs. But you have to still do your basic tests and see that every patient's an individual. So you can't just buy these drugs off the internet if a doctor hasn't seen you to see whether you are fit for these drugs. Because there is a certain percentage of patients that won't respond to GLPs. I think it's so important that the first question a patient must ask themselves is, why can't I get this at a pharmacy? Why do I need to get this through Facebook Marketplace? Why can't my GP prescribe this for me? So I think that's always one of the red lights, is if you can't get it from a pharmacy, why is that? So drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy and Saxenda, you can all get from a pharmacy legally through a prescription from your doctor. And I think that's the important part about it.
Very, very critical information that you're providing with us. I think, we're already at, sort of the moral of the story, don't cut corners. Don't cut corners, especially when it comes to your health. Let's talk about some of the symptoms that patients have presented with, and not just Ozempic, because there are several drugs that are out there, promising all kinds of things. The body modification drug space is quite big, as I've seen it on social media, and it's an international problem where women are trying to get this hourglass figure that is impossible to get from a pill, right? And we've seen several doctors warning people, do not buy these drugs online. So what kind of symptoms do patients present with generally that you can warn us if I perhaps, present with something that could warn me that I have taken something that is unsafe or falsified?
I think short term, the quickest type of side effects that the patients develop is severe nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain and discomfort. So those happen pretty quickly. The other ones that we've been seeing happen quite fast is kidney stones. So we've seen a number of patients come in with hematuria, which is blood in the urine, and then having developed kidney stones. We're seeing a lot of pancreatitis. In the long term, we have heard some of the gynaes complaining that they are seeing more and more patients with osteoporosis developing from the counterfeit products. Renal impairment in the long term, I think, is the major one that we are seeing. And then short-term effects as well is hair loss, brittle hair, dizziness, severe dehydration. So there's those effects that happen immediately within the first week or so. And then there's the ones we've seen patients on these compounded drugs for about a year. And with them, we're starting to see severe renal impairment and severe osteoporosis. So long-term, it's not good. And of course, you can't use compounded products in a patient where you don't know whether they have thyroid disease. We've had cases where patients with hyperthyroidism have been prescribed these medications, and the risk of developing cancer in those circumstances is very severe because you don't know what is in a compounded product. That's what it comes down. It hasn't been tested. It hasn't been approved. You have no idea whether you're injecting basically just salt water into your body, which we actually are seeing in a lot of the samples we're sending away. They just contain saline. But that's still okay. At least then you're not doing harm to your body. But some of them contain quite harmful things. So, yeah, it's a very big problem. And it's worldwide. But I think it's because of the obesity dilemma. I mean, in South Africa, I think the current... there's about 60, if I remember correctly, 68% of women who are obese and 31% of men who struggle from obesity. So it is a huge dilemma we're struggling with. But there is a safe alternative if you go and see your doctor and use legally prescribed medication that has been through numerous treatments. We are actually seeing patients being prescribed a drug called retatrutide, which has not even passed phase 3 tests in the US. It has not been approved anywhere in the world, and we see that patients are coming here telling us they got it from their doctors.
Sure. Dr. Sheldon,
yeah, it's scary.
We're going to park it there for now, but we'd love to ask some more frequently asked questions that the listeners at home may have in terms of flagging out and taking away all the red flags online when people are trying to sell us illicit drugs. So if you don't mind hanging 10 for us so that we can ask those questions. For now, let's get the sports news with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Debocha. Very good afternoon from the sports desk. So Bafana Bafana's acting coach Molefe Ntseki has defended the players' selection following their unceremonious elimination from the 2024 African Nations Championship at the group stages. So with the 2025-2026 Premier Soccer League season fully underway at the time of the tournament kicking off, South Africa were forced to take a squad largely made up of free agents. Ntseki, who is also standing in as the national team boss due to a contractual limitations by coach Hugo Bruce, insisted he had enough in his arsenal to go all the way and lift the trophy despite their early exit at the hands of the co-hosts Uganda last night.
I think we brought professionals and they showed how professional they are. They showed their commitment, understanding that they are playing for their country. And in a game of football, like I said, there are 3 results. Unfortunately, today we got the result that we did not want. We wanted a win, and things did not happen for us. As for the future, I think the country is very proud of their performances, and we brought the best players that played very well in this tournament. I can't falter any of them in terms of performance and commitment.
Right, so Bafana were bundled out after drawing a must-win 3-all match yesterday, ultimately finishing third in Group C, from which only the top two team progress into the next stages of this year's competition. Of course, the quarterfinal stages, Uganda as well as Algeria progressing with the latter level on points with the South Africans, but also pipping them because of a superior goal difference. So Bafana were 3-1 up at the Mandela National Stadium in Kampala with about 17 minutes to play, but the game was flipped on its head. This as the Cranes were awarded 2 penalties in quick succession. And Ntseki defended that the players remained professional throughout that game and also showed character despite the precarious situation at the death of that game.
I think they showed a lot of character because they were very much convinced that this is a game for us to win. And when things turn around, you could see the experience in terms of handling the situation. Even after making the subs, we managed to get an opportunity to get the 4th goal. But like I said, it was not meant to be. So as South Africans, we are very proud of the performance that we experienced in this tournament.
Right, we'll stay with the Chan tournament. So for the very first time in a CAF competition, 3 co-hosts in Kenya, Uganda, as well as Tanzania have all advanced to the quarterfinals, sending a powerful message of unity as well as ambition across East Africa. The co-hosts of the Total Energies Chan tournament have all secured quarterfinal berths, a collective achievement that has gripped East Africa and also ignited home support across the region. So we saw in Group A that was topped by Kenya, Group B was topped by Tanzania, while Group C was topped by Uganda. This historic feat has also added weight to the tournament's Pamoja spirit, which is a Swahili word meaning together, with the 3 nations not only sharing hosting duties but also celebrating simultaneous on-field success. Onto this now, Argentina's national team have unveiled a revamped 31-man squad on Monday, led by Lionel Messi for the South American qualifiers against Venezuela as well as Ecuador for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Alongside Captain Messi, the squad features several young Argentinian talents, including Manchester City striker Claudio Echeverri. There's also Porto midfielder Alan Valera and the recent Real Madrid signing Franco Masunoto. Now, coach Lionel Scaloni also called up striker Jose Manuel Lopez from Brazilian side Palmeiras for the very first time. Argentina will play Venezuela at the Monumental Stadium in Buenos Aires on the 4th of September before travelling to Ecuador to face off with them 5 days later. And finally, in case you missed it, world number 3 Iga Swiatek said winning the Cincinnati Open has given her a boost of confidence before the US Open begins on Sunday. The 6-time Grand Slam champion secured a dominant 7-5, 6-4 victory over the Italian 6-seed Yasmin Paolini to clinch a maiden title at the WTA 1000 event last night. The 24-year-old Pole was also in fine form throughout the week in Ohio and did not drop a single set. She now heads to Flushing Meadows looking to claim a second US Open title in the final Grand Slam tournament of the year, having triumphed at Wimbledon just last month. The time has just gone 13:35 p.m. Central African time. That concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African Perspective.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Ethiopia's planned Bishoftu International Airport, its scale, its timelines, and its potential to position the country as Africa's aviation leader. What will this mega project mean for Ethiopia's investment climate, job creation, and tourism? And how will it shape regional and global connectivity?
Ethiopian Airlines is by far the largest airline in Africa and amongst the 30 largest biggest in the world. Ethiopian Airlines owns the airports in this country. So, you just need to put that in context. Last week, they announced their results. They had transported 19 million passengers, something like $7.6 billion in revenue, which places them amongst the 3 most profitable airlines in the Middle East Africa region after Emirates and Qatar Airways. In fact, except for Ethiopian Airlines, virtually no state-owned airline in Africa today makes money. Many African governments make it difficult for airlines to operate efficiently and profitably. That includes South Africa, by the way.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Well, it's 37 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time, which means it is time for us to get the latest in business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Deboho, with your business news this hour. I'm Matapala Mahape, and good afternoon. Starting off with this story, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has arrived in Tokyo, Japan, to attend the International Conference on African Development, TICAD. Japan has invited 49 African countries to attend the conference. High on the agenda will be peace and stability around the globe and a focus on economic and social issues. Ramaphosa will also hold bilateral talks with Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. International Relations and Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola elaborates on the conference.
TICAD is one of the key development partners for the African continent on a number of issues, financing the economy. Most of Japanese companies have invested a lot in the African continent, and South Africa being one of the key beneficiaries, with some of the biggest Japanese companies invested in our country, and not just invested, but with a value addition in terms of manufacturing, in terms of the entire value chain. When you look at the automotive sector.
The South African Constitutional Court is currently hearing arguments in the high-stakes rand manipulation case involving local and international banks. Some of these banks are settled out of court, while others were cleared of collusion by the Competition Appeals Court in 2023. These banks are accused of conspiring to fix a rand-dollar exchange rate through information sharing in secret chat rooms between 2007 and 2013. Despite the National Treasury's view that there was no material impact as it was limited only to certain clients, the Competition Commission has launched an appeal to the Constitutional Court to overturn a ruling that cleared the banks of collusion. Representing the Competition Commission, Advocate Tembeka Ncukaitobi says this action was an attack on South Africa's sovereignty.
But here what we have is something unique, which is that they targeted the sign of our sovereignty, which is the rand, in a perverse scheme driven by profit motives. And perhaps, if for anything else, for this reason alone, the judicial institutions of South Africa are the only institutions across the world that have a legal interest in the prosecution of this cartel. At the heart of it is the rand.
The South African Revenue Service officials and the police raided the property in the Gauteng province and found people decanting a tanker with 40,000 litres of ethanol used to produce illicit alcohol into flow bins and being loaded onto trucks. It is believed the ethanol was destined for Zimbabwe. Several other trucks with flow bins and drums containing both ethanol and diesel were also seized. SARS spokesperson Sipiti Sibeko says the culprits fled the scene and investigations are underway.
Upon investigation, our team found more than 92,000 litres of ethanol. This ethanol is used to manufacture illicit liquor. Our team also found more than 30,000 litres of paraffin, with people trying to process it and remove what we call AA1 marker. Now, this led to the more than 3 different areas in vicinity to be investigated, and our team did find trucks, and when approaching the area, the drivers of those trucks immediately dashed for their lives. SARS condemns this in the strongest possible terms and promise that it will continue to deal with the illicit economy.
A coalition of Ghanaian cocoa farmers has threatened to bar officers of the national regulator from their farms to protest the newly announced producer price of the upcoming season. The farmers say the producer price could fuel illegal smuggling to the Ivory Coast and Togo. More than 300,000 farmers have expressed anger over what they consider inadequate compensation. Onto this now, Intel received a $2 billion capital injection from SoftBank Group in a major vote of confidence for the troubled U.S. chip maker in the middle of a turnaround. The equity investment announced by the companies is a lifeline for the U.S. once iconic U.S. firm, which has struggled to compete after years of management blunders that left it with virtually no foothold in the booming artificial intelligence chip industry. It will make SoftBank a top 10 shareholder of Intel and add to the Japanese tech investors' ambition bet on semiconductor and AI assets that includes the $500 billion Stargate U.S. data center project. A look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 530. In Botswana, it's trading at 13 Bula 24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 38. And Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 19. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 41. Russia, it's 80 rubles 4. India, it's 87 rupees 37. While in China, it's 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 61 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $3,342 and platinum at $1,339 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $65.88 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matabala Mahabe.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The Upside with Tebogo Likuleni and Matseko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
44 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's wrap up our conversation with general practitioner Dr. Sheldine Buerta about the impact, the cost, the risks associated with buying illicit drugs online for the purposes of weight loss. Dr. Sheldine, let's talk about verification, verifying a product that I just bought online, if it's the real deal or not. Besides going to my general practitioner, are there online platforms where I can verify these purchases?
So first of all, no product that you buy online will be verified. You need to get these drugs from your local pharmacy. There is no Schedule 4 medication that you can order online without a prescription. So patients need to get a prescription from their doctor, not get the drug from their doctor, because unfortunately some doctors are providing counterfeit drugs. So they need to get a prescription from their doctor and they need to get it from the pharmacy. You will not be able to get a Schedule 4 drug online or on Facebook Marketplace or anything. If a patient do want to just make sure about it, that even the drugs that they bought at the pharmacy is safe, there is a website, The Truth About Weight, that Novo has launched recently that patients can register on, and they can look for doctors in their area that does specialize in weight loss treatment, and they can check online whether the drug is approved or not. And you can even just phone Sopra or Novo Nordisk and ask about the product, Eli Lilly, all the companies involved with these medications. But you are not supposed to be able to buy a GLP online.
Well, thank you for that. Just that a reminder of that website. It's Truth About Weight.
About weight, yes.
All right. And then finally, Dr. Sheldine, as we let you go, and thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Besides buying drugs to lose weight, are there ways that I can do it at home that are safe? And if you are going to talk about drugs, talk to us about drugs that are prescribed and are safe to use.
So I think there's a lot of people out there struggling with weight problems. So a lot of them has physiological reasons why they will struggle to lose weight. It might be a genetic thing. It can be thyroid problems. It can be pre-diabetes. It can be a lot of things. So I think where you start is you start with your doctor and you just do the basic tests that is necessary to find out why are you struggling with your weight. Still, I think lifestyle changes, it still has a place. It's still important to try and eat healthy, get some exercise. So lifestyle definitely still plays a part. Although we do see in people who has chronic obesity as a disease, it does not make that big of a difference. But I think the first place to start is consult your doctor. There is medications out there that are also registered tablet-wise for weight loss. And I mean, if you have a physiological problem causing your weight gain, then nothing is going to help until you start treating the cause of your weight gain. So I think that's where you start. Start by doing your tests, go and see your doctor, see if there's anything that they can do about it. I mean, if you've got an underactive thyroid or you are pre-diabetic, you are not going to use weight loss drugs. You're going to treat the condition that is causing your weight gain. So I think that's where you start.
Straight from the doctor's mouth. Dr. Sheldine, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
The voice of Dr. Sheldine Botha, general practitioner, talking to us about the impact, the costs, the risks associated with buying illicit drugs online for the purposes of weight loss. Her advice is go to your doctor and seek counsel there. That's the first step, and we'll leave it there. It is now 48 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Don't go anywhere. We continue our conversation concerning all things health in the next few minutes.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula mizi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
Welcome back. 10 minutes to go till it is 2 p.m. in Central African time. We're going to continue on our conversation around illicit drug use for weight loss purposes. And there are obviously serious medical concerns that were noted by Dr. Botha in the first segment. We wrap up this segment looking at things from a legal perspective, you know, unregulated wellness drugs making it into our homes, into our bodies. What are the concerns legally when it comes to this? Jonas Lind Janssen is Director and Head of Legal Ethics and Compliance at Novo Nordisk, and they join us on the line. So I think let's get straight into looking at legal perspective. Jonas, talk to us about why illicit or unregulated weight loss drugs are such a serious concern when we look at things from a legal perspective.
Thanks so much, and thanks for having me. I think, first of all, we just have to think about the patient safety. It's all about the patient safety. So while there are different legal regulations, there are different patent and exclusivity rules. As an innovative company like Novo Nordisk bringing new medicine to South Africa, the main point of what we are doing is to help patients get better. We are in this world to drive change and to defeat serious chronic diseases. Obesity is a serious chronic disease, and hence it should also be treated like one. So, as any other disease, you should be treated by your doctor and not by your social media. So, first of all, the most important part is the safety. When you look at how products are developed, they have to go through rigorous clinical trial programs. Semaglutide, for example, has been tested in more than 40,000 people across different clinical trials, even in South Africa. We're running clinical trial programs in South Africans to see and test the response of the product. What you test in those clinical trials is essentially two things. It's the safety and efficacy. And you have to weigh those two up against each other. And in this case, it means that once a product that was once invented in a laboratory somewhere, it goes through clinical trial testing. Maybe it takes 8 to 10 years to do that. You register your product with a regulatory authority. In South Africa, that would be SAHPRA, and then you get an approval. So essentially, there's a lot of work going into ensuring that the drugs that all of us can pick up at the pharmacy are safe and efficacious. So the big problem with unregulated illicit compounding, illicit counterfeit, is that we do not know what's inside. We've done a study, so scientists at my company has published a study that actually showed that compounded semaglutide showed up to impurities of up to 33%. So I can't tell you what's inside the drugs. I think we heard from the doctor before that sometimes it's salt water, sometimes it's something else. Yeah. I think in the worst case, it can harm you. And by the end of the day, there's no patient that should compromise safety and efficacy and use a unregulated drug.
Jonas, what are the steps that perhaps Novo Nordisk is taking to combat these counterfeit or illegally distributed products in the name of Novo Nordisk in markets like South Africa? How are you combating those?
So I think we have to look at a few different things. First of all, we need to educate. So we need to educate the general public.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to this radio show right now, we need to go on social media and run campaigns to ensure that people understand that there is a difference between a regulated drug and what you can find on your social media or in web shops that are not overseen or regulated by SAHPRA. Then we need to talk with authorities as well. So we are in close collaborations with SAHPRA, discussing what we are seeing, reporting the cases that we see, but also helping and assisting them in setting up testing methods to ensure that they can actually test whether this is the real drug or not. The same goes for your police services. So the South African police services, we also have to work with to help testing, to ensure that we can actually prosecute some of the people that are behind what I would define as very organized crime.
All right, still in conversation with Jonas Lind Janssen in his capacity as Director and Head of Legal, Ethics and Compliance at Novo Nordisk. Of course, they deal with, they are compliance, okay, when it comes to really getting the right type of drugs into the market. But let's talk about the universal laws, if I could call them that, on the African continent where regulation is concerned. Do we have that on the African continent? Anything universal legally that protects the public from falsified and unapproved medicines?
Absolutely. So essentially, any pharmaceutical company that wants to bring a medicine to a patient needs to have it regulatory approved. So that's a global approach, which means that you have to prove your efficacy and your safety in clinical trials to then obtain an approval to actually go out and be able to treat patients. So it's not only just testing the efficacy and the safety of the product, it's also all the quality requirements that goes into that. The quality of the manufacturing sites, the quality of in relation to how the products are shipped and distributed around, the cold chain that might be relevant and so on. So there's a lot of rules governing how a medicine is invented in a lab and goes all the way to a patient to help treat their disease. So I would probably say that it's likely the most regulated space of all industries.
Jonas, let's talk about the role that social media plays when it comes to conveying these stories and messages of here's a drug that you can use to help you lose weight now. From an ethical responsibility point of view, what role do those play in terms of the platform's responsibility to ensure that that the wrong information is not shared on those platforms, information that could harm the end user at the end of the day?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. I don't think we have really cracked the nut on how to solve for that, because social media is great, right? It's creating community. It's creating a way of all of us connecting together, but it can be dangerous when it contains misinformation. And if you look into the rules and the terms of conditions of the social media platforms, it actually says that you're not allowed to promote and sell prescription-only medicines. But how to enforce that is the difficult part.
Yeah.
If you ask me, it should probably be something where the different industries, so your tech companies, your pharmaceutical companies, and government and policymakers should get together and discuss how we do this. I think we've seen the same in terms of the rules we have on advertisement for alcohol, advertisement for tobacco, all of those things. We should also consider applying the same mindset for pharmaceutical drugs, because it is popular. We can all see some of these weight loss drugs. We see stories from Hollywood. It spreads very fast.
Okay, here's another frequently asked one. Okay, so I've now gotten myself into trouble. Okay, I've bought an enhancement drug or Ozempic or Manjaro or whatever it is online, and now I'm sick. I'm presenting with symptoms that are threatening to my life. Is there legal recourse that I can take to get the culprits, into the justice system?
I think if you can say, if what you're talking about now is in relation to feeling sick from unregulated products,
yes,
your first thing is to, of course, need to go to a doctor. You need to go to the emergency room if you're feeling anything that is not normal following an injection of an unregulated product. After that, it's going to SAHPRA. It's going to authorities and telling them, I experienced this from this product, and it's ensuring that they are aware of the cases and that they are reported. So what comes with a regulated product is also what is called pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance is essentially following the safety and efficacy profile of a product also after it's launched and marketed to patients. Those same controls are not in place with an unregulated product. That's essentially, it lies in the name, right? It's unregulated. That means that SAHPRA is not naturally overseeing a unregulated product as they would be with a regulated product. So that means that if you are in the unlucky situation that you have found yourself to purchase something on social media or go into a web shop online that actually is selling a illicit compounding drug or a counterfeit drug, the first thing is, of course, to seek a doctor and then afterwards report that to the authorities.
Jonas, this has been such a valuable conversation. Thank you so much for your time and for contributing to this very important conversation, especially now that we live in a digital world where everything is accessible online on social media. It's very easy and very tempting for us to just click buy on a product that has not been tested or regulated. But thank you so much for adding value to this conversation this afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. And if I can just add, I think what we have introduced in Novo Nordisk is that we have a website called truthaboutweight.co.za. On that website, we have a HCP, healthcare professional locator. So look at it a little bit like your booking.com or whatever. It's a locator to find a doctor that's educated and takes obesity serious, because it is a chronic disease and it needs to be treated like one. Truthaboutweight.co.za. Jonas, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thanks so much. The voice of Jonas Lind Hansen, Director and Head of Legal Ethics, Compliance and Quality at Novo Nordisk. Do your research, get your drugs, your weight loss supplements from regulated people. Otherwise, now you have to deal with legal repercussions and then also have to deal with the health issues associated. Do the right thing. Don't take shortcuts. It's 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news with Onele Nsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, Sudan's army chief appoints a raft of new senior officers, and Ukraine's government says Russia carried out a massive overnight attack. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Sudan's army chief has appointed a raft of new senior officers in a reshuffle that strengthened his hold on the military as he consolidates control of central and eastern regions and fights fierce battles in the west. Sudan's army, which controls the government, is fighting a more than 2-year civil war with the paramilitary rapid support forces, its former partners in power that has created the world's largest humanitarian crisis. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan made new appointments to the Joint Chiefs of Staff a day after announcing the retirement of several long-serving officers, some of whom have gained a measure of fame over the past 2 years. The Southern African Development Community leaders assembled for a summit in Madagascar to deliberate on key programs amid pressing global challenges. Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina has taken over as the SADC chair. The highlight of the meeting was the ceremonial handover of the SADC chairpersonship in the Council of Ministers. Human rights activist and researcher at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs, Advocate Sipho Mantula, weighs in on the meeting.
The SADC, one of the challenges that they've been going through for the past 45 years is this question of integration, industrialization. But I think also Madagascar takes this chairpersonship for Madagascar. The main challenge that they will be facing is to how to understand also the dynamics around climate change as they've also been going through cyclones, transition, because the question that this region needs to have efficient power supply is very important. But finally, I think for them, it will be important how to navigate the conflicts that are within the region of SADC.
Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has arrived in Japan for the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Mnangagwa is leading a delegation comprising of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Finance and others for a 2-day event which begins tomorrow. ZANU-PF's Communications Director Farai Marapira.
As Zimbabwe, we've thrown off the pariah status that we've had over the years through the disinformation campaign that was against us. And we are now one of the prime investment destinations in Africa. We are a haven of resource. And this is what we are building upon. We are a country that has opened its doors to all and sundry, and the president has made it very clear that our doors are open. We're willing to parley, we're willing to talk, we're willing to thrive together with anyone who wants to join us in mutual beneficiation. So this is essentially our angle, and this is essentially our message as led by our president. Anything that can aid us in pushing forward our growth agenda towards an upper middle income economy by the year 2030.
More than 300 e-hailing operators are marching to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature in Johannesburg, South Africa, to hand over a memorandum of grievances and demands. The group will then move to the Provincial Department of Transport to hand over another memorandum in which they complain about impounding of vehicles and the challenges relating to the issuing of operating licenses. The march comes amid tensions between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers, which saw an e-hailing driver killed and 2 e-hailing vehicles burnt outside Maponya Mall last week. Ukraine's government says Russia carried out a massive overnight attack with missiles and drones on energy infrastructure in the central region of Poltava. This comes while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with U.S. President Donald Trump and a delegation of European leaders in Washington to discuss plans to bring an end to Russia's war in Ukraine. The BBC's Katie Watson.
270 drones launched into Ukraine overnight, as well as missiles. Now, most of those were intercepted, but still, we're talking 16 different locations that were hit. In Donetsk, there were several strikes that killed at least 5 people over the last 24 hours. There have been strikes in other parts of the country that have taken out power supplies. And that's what President Zelensky has said all along, that there is a war raging here. Russia needs to stop the killing. Then people here in Ukraine, I mean, that's an active war, and they want to see a stop to that before negotiating further.
Recapping on your top stories, Iran's army chief appointed a raft of new senior officers in a reshuffle that strengthened his hold on the military as he consolidates control of central and eastern regions and fights fierce battles in the west. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 7 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the second hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective with Tebohole Kuleni and Matseko Mosito. We're still coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, that's channel 802, OpenView channel 628. As always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go and anywhere around the world. Go to www.channelafrica.co.za. In this hour, Madame Matseko, we talk about wellness. What does wellness truly mean, especially when we start embedding it into our daily routine? What impact our daily routine has on our overall wellness, and not just talking physical, but spiritual also, and emotional. Sometimes we just stick to one aspect of wellness, and that's usually the physical. But there are other spaces, other parts that factor in that we don't really think about, and that's a problem, especially actually it's not an African problem, it's a universal thing where we just focus on the physical and not the other aspects of wellness.
No, totally. If we're going to look at wellness, we've got to do a bit of unlearning. In fact, not a bit, a whole lot of unlearning, because we need to get to a point where our lives look and feel good to us, and it shouldn't be about the next person or, you know, whoever's sitting in a certain chair, who's watching you, who's going to book you for this, who's going to book you for that. Does it feel good to you that you travel internationally every other day? Like, is that good for you or not? Well, I mean, if it's for leisure, then that's a different case altogether. But you know what I mean? I mean, that's a really silly example. But, you know, the things that we're doing on a daily basis, are they making us feel good, or are they just sinking us deeper into depression and physical ailments and physiologically just feeling out of bounds? That is not a good feeling, and we certainly don't want that for you. So in this segment, it really is about empowering you with knowledge when we look at wellness and holistic wellness, and look at how us as African people can really find the solutions that just match where we want to go, who we want to be, how we want to represent the work that we do. And it takes one to be well to be able to do that. So we're going to start by really defining what wellness is and then take it from there. So listen, any thoughts and opinions? Perhaps you are watching live, you've got access to Facebook, you've got access to TikTok or Twitter or X as it's now known. You're welcome to talk to us. We're here, you there. Let's have a conversation. What does wellness mean to you?
For now, let's give you audio wellness with some music.
Your afternoons just got even better.
Fresh and exciting.
The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
África. Conhece o Ntivani? Claro que sou eu. Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alright, into me, oh, na, na, na. Yeah, yeah. Alright, into me, oh.
Black Jersey on the beat.
Baby, me tired for this your matter. It don't they give me headache, oh. If it like say we go take a break, oh. Break, oh. Enough of your promises. You say you gon' make it up to me, but you keep getting worse, so worse, so. When was the last time you carried me go cinema to see a movie? You don't take this thing like play, oh, play, oh. And when last you tell me to bend over, make you jam the thing enter, I guess you're giving it to someone else. If you don't give me quality attention, oh yeah, attention. If you don't give me quality attention, I might get it from somebody else. Somebody else. I might get it from somebody else. If you don't give me quality attention, attention. If you don't give me quality attention, I might get it from somebody else. Somebody else. I might get it from somebody else. Sue me, or already sue me. 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 Before now you they do the caring, calling, texting, chatting. And I made it do the things that you used to do. We no longer do the hold on, pick two, last guy, check up. Baby, I had to discuss games we used to play. Something is missing, something is missing, and I can't seem to find it. No, 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 no. Something is missing, something is missing, and you better fix it before you make a sense to change. If you don't give me quality attention, attention. If you don't give me quality attention, I might get it from somebody else. Somebody else. I might get it from somebody else. If you don't give me quality attention, quality attention, no more tension. If you don't give me quality attention, I might get it from somebody else. Somebody else. I might get it from somebody else.
14 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Singer-songwriter and actress Tiwa Savage there from Nigeria. The song is called Attention, and we're asking you to pay attention to our next conversation because it's all about wellness. Now, wellness is a word we often hear, yet for many Africans, it's still an idea we are unpacking in real life. True well-being is not just about spa days or quick fixes. It's about healing the mind, body and spirit in ways that respond to the realities of our communities. From unemployment and food insecurity to gender-based violence and generational trauma, wellness has to be rooted in what people are actually going through. One aspect we often overlook is our skin. While we invest in fashion, appearances, and the latest technology, the long-term effects of daily habits on our skin are sometimes ignored. Whether it's how much time we spend outdoors, the products we use, or the way we treat our bodies from the inside out, skincare is a mirror to our overall wellness. To unpack this, we are joined by dermatologist Dr. Polly Limpofu, who reminds us that self-care goes far deeper than covering imperfections. Dr. Mpofu, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. When we talk about wellness in an African context, what does it mean to you beyond the buzzword that we all know it to be?
Wellness, good afternoon. Wellness means different things to different people. To self, it means the responsibility to know what you're doing to your skin, to know that harm can happen from just small things, to be responsible, to know what your type of skin is, to engage healthcare professionals, to tell you about what your condition is, not to hear from other people who generalize the condition and just, you see on social media, someone will say, I have a rash, what should I do? And then people start flooding, telling them what to do. We need to be responsible to only do what we have been told by healthcare professionals about what our skin condition is. Because there's no solution unless you identify what the problem is. Yeah. That's the biggest responsibility we need to be aware of. Wellness also means health professionals also being responsible to provide adequate care so that people are not frustrated and going around looking for self-medication, but the availability in all forms and all aspects to be able to teach as much as we can, to educate, to guide. But the government also has a responsibility to products to make sure that our people are protected from products that claim to have things. We always see products saying vitamin C, retinol, niacinamide, when they actually have corticosteroids, which are harmful to the skin. We need our government from these. So wellness means different things to all of us.
All right. I think let's take a quick promo break and return. We're just battling a little bit with Dr. Polly Limpofu's line, but we'll be back. Dr. Polly Limpofu joining us in her capacity as a dermatologist. And we are really looking at wellness and holistic wellness, but also looking at it through the skin. What is the skin revealing about our state of wellness? We'll be right back.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126 and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on The Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur Sheky Frey, qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste. et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup de genres de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap.
D'accord. À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Shekin?
Bon, je crois pas qu'il y ait une période, hein, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Mabhizinesi osiyana-siyana mdziko la South Africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la United States of America. Ndiye pano tili ndi katswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la Malawi, Dr. Bertha Chikadza. Boma la South Africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati America akani kutsitsa msonkho, bomalo lipeza misika ina. Mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka South Africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku misika ya ku America.
Tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izi zinthu zokuti inali msika wa dziko la America unali msika wakukhazikika umene dziko la South Africa linali likazolowera kale. Tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la South Africa lipezanso msika mwina mwasangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake mwina sizingachitike pacho kuti tikunena papa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri nditu.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Thanks for staying with us. We are 22 minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African time. Thank you for tuning in via satellite in Southern Africa. You can find us on the DSTV audio bouquet, channel 802. Still in conversation with Dr. Polly Lempofu, who is a South African dermatologist, and we're looking at wellness through the lens of the skin. Okay, we've heard this since biology days, like biology standard 1, where the skin is the largest organ on the body. Okay, aka you've got to take care of it since it is protecting all your organs. So we're talking to Dr. Polly Mbofu about what the skin actually reveals about our state of wellness. Doc, welcome back. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, let's take a deep dive into what the skin is actually revealing to us about our stress levels, about our hormonal imbalances or balances, and just our state of fulfillment.
Yeah, the skin is really a big window to the inside of the body. Because when you look at a person, you can judge their hydration by just seeing the skin, their nutritional level, when there are any deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies. You can see when there's iron deficiency, where there are systemic conditions like diabetes, infections. There are lots of things, even some cancers can be detected through the skin. But stress is a very big trigger of many conditions of the skin. We know that because of stress, our acne is not controllable, rosacea is triggered, psoriasis is triggered, many conditions, allergies, most infections, the person's immunity goes down and then they become vulnerable to even infections. So stress is a very important aspect of our health, including skin. Hormonally, when there's a hormonal imbalance, we know that there might be pigmentation problems, there might be acne, there might be stretch marks. There are lots of changes. So many aspects of our health are indicated by the skin.
Dr. Polly, let's talk about some of the common mistakes that we make in terms of our skincare routine that you may have observed as a dermatologist that you'd like to share some light or shed some light on, so that we become aware of these mistakes ourselves. Because oftentimes we do one thing repeatedly and we don't realize that actually what we are doing is wrong. We should not be applying so much of this lotion or staying in the sun for too long. Talk to us about some of the common skincare routine mistakes that we make on the daily.
Yes, not using sunscreen is a big one. Because many people feel that they are working indoors, they are not outside, they are not exposed, their skin color is dark, therefore they don't need protection. That's a very big mistake because it exposes the skin to harm, to early aging, to cancer, to pigmentation. But the other frustrating problem, a mistake that we do, is not to get professional diagnosis about our condition, but to generalize it and talk to other people about what might be the problem with our skins. So much time is wasted, so much harm results from this. The other thing is sourcing our products from unregulated suppliers. Sometimes the diagnosis is correct, the disease is definitely what it is, but the solution is not correct. We are getting from providers that are selling things that are not stable, that are harmful, that have ingredients in them that might be hormone dysregulators, that might be harmful, might have benzene, might have other products that are harmful. So sourcing from unregulated suppliers is a very frustrating problem also. And
Right.
Hello? And believing that expensive is better and not doing the basics that we're told. Wash your skin with mild cleanser, apply sunscreen, moisturize. You don't need heavy stuff, 10 steps of this and that, that exhausts you. And you then become so tired that you don't even do the basics.
That is very true. I think, look, I've got to say this, for anyone that's met Dr. Mpofu in person or at least interacted with her videos on social media, her skin, like, I believe everything she says because her skin is absolutely stunning. And just on that note, Doc, I want to talk about the role of aesthetic treatments. They are becoming increasingly popular, both for men and women. There's now even little packages, these little seemingly innocent little packages for younger consumers, if you will. So aesthetic treatments, what impact do they have on our self-esteem and how we see ourselves and how we put ourselves out in the world?
It's not our fault that we're living in an era where things are available. And we are not like our grandmothers who didn't have solutions. There's nothing wrong with aesthetic treatment, but there's something wrong with when you have a low self-esteem and to feel good, you have to do something. But normally, there's nothing wrong with looking after your skin, going for regular cleansers, going for regular facial treatment, microneedling regularly. We advise people to do it maybe 3 times a year, having chemical pills, but the condition has to be diagnosed properly so that the regime is chosen by a healthcare professional. There's nothing wrong with going for the treatment, but there's everything wrong with thinking it will solve your self-esteem problem.
Dr. Mpofu, let's talk.
It's called body dysmorphic syndrome. It's a condition of looking for solutions and you're never satisfied.
If we want to hear more tips from you, is there a website we can check out, or perhaps even your social media handles if you've got more frequently asked questions that our listeners would like to engage you on?
Yes. I'm on Instagram and at Dr. Mpofu.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Doc. I think for me, the big lesson is it really is ever about the skin. It hardly ever is. The skin just really reveals other symptomatic things that are happening within our being that require attention. But thank you so much for your value. You've contributed for many years on media platforms in South Africa, and I think it's time that the African continent gets to experience what you've got to offer. So we're going to follow you on Instagram. I know you've got a lot of valuable tips to share there. Thank you very much for the time.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Podile Mpofu, who is joining us as a dermatologist, and I promise you, just go on her Instagram. I mean, her skin is, I remember Oprah talking to Beyonce the one time and saying, your skin is so gorgeous, I could lick your skin. Because it's so
lick your skin.
Because it's so
Doesn't sound
smooth. Well, I mean, it's a joke. Can you take a joke?
I know. I'm actually on her page.
Isn't she just like absolutely stunning? Her skin is flawless. Not a pimple, nothing. Stunning.
So her handle on Instagram is at Dr. Mpofu _dermatologist. And listening to some of the tips that she has, because when you see her face, you will know these are the tips I need to follow. It's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon from the sports desk. Now, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has called up the experienced Springbok winger Makazola Mapimpi for the squad ahead of the final rugby championship match against Australia in Cape Town this coming Saturday, as the captain Siamtanda Kolisi as well as Kurtley Arendse were released due to injury. Now, Kolisi as well as Arendse both suffered injuries in last weekend's 38-22 defeat against Australia and are now expected to be sidelined for a few weeks. And while there is enough time to cover the squad at loose forward, Erasmus has now opted to call up Mapimpi as a backline cover in the Springbok squad. Mapimpi, of course, currently boasts 47 test matches and will undoubtedly boost the experience of the Springboks in the backline. Bafana Bafana's acting coach Molefe Ntseki has defended the players' selection following their unceremonious elimination from the 2024 African Nations at Chan tournament at the group stages. Now, with the 2025-2026 Premier Soccer League season fully underway at the time that the tournament was kicking off, South Africa, though, was forced to take a squad largely made of free agents. Ntseki, who's now also standing in as a national team boss due to a contractual limitation by Coach Hugo Bruce, has insisted that he had enough in his arsenal to go all the way and lift the trophy despite their early exit at the hands of the co-host, Uganda, last night.
I think we brought professionals and they showed how professional they are. They showed their commitment, understanding that they are playing for their country. And in a game of football, like I said, there are 3 results. Unfortunately, today we got the result that we did not want. We wanted a win and things did not happen for us. As for the future, I think the country is very proud of their performances, and we brought the best players that played very well in this tournament. I can't falter any of them in terms of performance and commitment.
So at the same time, Bafana Bafana were bundled out of the match from the tournament last night following a 3-3 draw against Uganda. They had to win that game in order to go into the quarterfinals of this competition. So they finished 3rd in Group C. Uganda as well as Algeria progressing, having finished 1st and 2nd, but the South Africans in 3rd position on the same number of points as Algeria. But of course, it was Algeria who moved on to the quarterfinals because they have a superior goal difference. At the same time, this is what he had to say about his team showing character on the day, having lost a quarterfinal place at the Chan tournament.
I think they showed a lot of character because they were very much convinced that this is a game for us to win. And when things turn around, you could see the experience in terms of handling the situation. Even after making the subs, we managed to get an opportunity to get the 4th goal. But like I said, it was not meant to be. So as South Africans, we are very proud of the performance that we experienced in this tournament.
Further field now, Argentina's national team unveiled a revamped 31-man squad on Monday, led by Lionel Messi for the South American qualifiers against Venezuela as well as Ecuador for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Alongside Captain Messi, the squad also features young Argentinian talents, including Manchester striker, that is Claudio Everechi. There's also both the midfielder Alan Varela and the recent Real Madrid signing of Franco Mosatuno. Now, coach Lionel Scolani also called up striker Jose Manuel Lopez from the Brazilian side Palmeiras for the very first time. Argentina will play Venezuela at the Monumental Stadium in Buenos Aires on the 4th of September before travelling to Ecuador, where they'll face over the host nation 5 days later. And finally, in tennis news, Kyle Edmund has been forced to retire at the age of 38 after going through a turbulent few years due to injuries. Now, Edmund, who rose to a career high world number 14 back in October of 2018, this after winning his maiden ATP title in Belgium, also reached the semi-finals of the Australian Open of the same year before becoming a second Brit since Andy Murray to achieve the feat in the Open era. His second ATP title came at the 2020 New York Open. However, injuries derailed his career, forcing him to undergo knee surgeries in November of 2020, March of 2021 and May of 2022. He also struggled with wrist, abdominal, hip as well as foot injuries, all cutting his career short. 14:35 p.m. Central African Time, and that's a wrap of your sports news this hour. I'm back with the final sports update on the upside in the third and final hour of the show. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Stella Longwe pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa, kusangalala, kupeza moyo, akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje. Ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa, ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri, chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi, aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka. Akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
37 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time, Matapelo Mahape standing by for business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Deborah, and good afternoon. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has arrived in Tokyo, Japan, to attend the International Conference on African Development, TICAD. Japan has invited 49 African countries to attend the conference. High on the agenda will be peace and stability around the globe and a focus on economic and social issues. Ramaphosa will also hold bilateral talks with Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. International Relations and Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola elaborates on the conference.
TICAD is one of the key development partners for the African continent on a number of issues, financing the economy. Most of Japanese companies have invested a lot in the African continent, and South Africa being one of the key beneficiaries, with some of the biggest Japanese companies invested in our country, and not just invested, but with a value addition in terms of manufacturing, in terms of the entire value chain. When you look at the automotive sector.
The South African Revenue Service officials and the police raided the property in the Gauteng province and found people decanting a tanker with 40,000 litres of ethanol used to produce illicit alcohol into flow bins and being loaded onto trucks. It is believed the ethanol was destined for Zimbabwe. Several other trucks with flow bins and drums containing both ethanol and diesel were also seized. SARS spokesperson Sipiti Sibego says the culprits fled the scene and investigations are underway.
Upon investigation, our team found more than 92,000 litres of ethanol. This ethanol is used to manufacture illicit liquor. Our team also found more than 30,000 litres of paraffin, with people trying to process it and remove what we call AA1 marker. Now, this led to the more than 3 different areas in vicinity to be investigated, and our team did find trucks, and when up approaching the area, the drivers of those trucks immediately dashed for their lives. SARS condemns this in the strongest possible terms and promise that it will continue to deal with the illicit economy.
The South African Constitutional Court is currently hearing arguments in the high-stakes rand manipulation case involving local and international banks. Some of these banks settled out of court while others were cleared of collusion by the Competition Appeals Court in 2023. These banks are accused of conspiring to fix rand-dollar exchange rate through information sharing in secret chat rooms between 2007 and 2013. Despite the National Treasury's views that there was no material impact as it was limited only to certain clients, the Competition Commission has launched an appeal to the Constitutional Court to overturn a ruling that cleared the banks of collusion. Representing the Competition Commission advocate Thembeka Ngqokaitombi says this action was an attack on South Africa's sovereignty.
But here what we have is something unique, which is that they targeted the sign of our sovereignty, which is the rand, in a perverse scheme driven by profit motives. And perhaps, if for anything else, for this reason alone, the judicial institutions of South Africa are the only institutions across the world that have a legal interest in the prosecution of this cartel. At the heart of it is the rand.
And Air Canada's unionized flight attendants have reached an agreement to end the first strike by its cabin crew in 40 years, which had disrupted travel plans for hundreds of thousands of passengers. The strike, which lasted nearly 4 days, had led the airline to withdraw its third quarter and full year earnings guidance. The Canadian Union of Public Employees has completed mediation with the airline and its low-cost affiliate Air Canada Rogue. Some flights will be cancelled over the next 7 to 10 days until the schedule is stabilized, and customers with cancelled flights can choose between a refund, travel credit, or rebooking on another airline. A look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 530. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 38, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 19. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 riyal 41. Russia is 80 rubles 4. India, it's 87 rupees 37, and in China, it's 7 yuan 18, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 61 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. A look at your commodities. The gold is trading at $3,341 and platinum at $1,341 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $65.85 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matapela Mahabe.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. 9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushatami.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture, they influence people's thought processes, they set trends, they shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that embarking in that journey and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Nambo soka
mitihani, binadamu tumeumbiwa na mapenzi ni burudani, toka enzi tuliambiwa. Umeleta furaha kipindi cha mashaka, moyo ulipokwamika umeutakasa. Sababu sina sababu, nikiulizwa nimependa nini sina jawabu. Niwe wako boda boda, boda boda, popote tutatembea, boda boda, oh, tolipia fare, boda boda, foleni utongojea, boda boda.
Nakukamatia juu na kukamatia chini, watu wote wanajua na kukamatia mimi. Wanafiki wa mbea watakamatia nini? Acha waende watu woge, situkamatie dini. Stories za mapenzi si tunafaa, washasemaga mengi miaka kadhaa, na bado tuna trend usiku na saa. Sisi uko na Mnyamwezi kibana ba
Habibi siri ndogo ndogo nifichie, kama nikikosa niambie, na nikipatia unisifie babe. Habibi siri ndogo ndogo nifichie, kama nikikosa niambie, na nikipatia unisifie sababu sina sababu, nikiulizwa nimependa nini sina jawabu. Sijui wewe wako boda boda, boda boda, popote tutatembea, boda boda, oh, tolipia fare, boda boda, foleni utongojea, boda boda.
Mateko Musito and Teboholi Kuleni on the upside.
One day I used to call my mama to tell her that I'm falling low. And what she said, my mama, it's too early for you to fall in love. Mama, don't you worry, she's my glory, my one and only. Yeah, yeah. Mama, don't you worry, she's my glory, my one and only. Baby, this love not for me. Baby, this love not for me. I'm single. Do you know that I'm single? I'm single again. Who knows I'm single? Oh yes, I'm single. Ladies, I'm single again. I'm single. Who knows I'm single? Kwani mimi nani?
You know what? The upside is a safe space. This is a very safe space. You can tell us, you can be honest, anywhere on the African continent, have you recently become single again? That's the name of the song. Single Again, Harmonize. And before that, we had Border by Bill Nas featuring Mbosa. And I asked the whole "Are you single again?" Not to be spicy, but maybe someone listening in the comment section on at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, maybe in the comment section is saying, "I'm also single. I'm from Mombasa or I'm from wherever." Maybe you can link up together and not become single or remain single. Anyway, I'm not hooking you up. I'm just saying go to at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube to stream us live.
There would be nothing wrong with hooking up. You've done something wonderful for the human species.
Imagine the story. They hooked up on the upside. It is 10 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Don't go anywhere. What caught your eyes? Coming up next.
This August, we celebrate the strength, brilliance, and unstoppable spirit of African women.
It was the women themselves who strove for and got the changes by lobbying, going through NGOs, and by networking.
That's you, ladies. From the boardroom to the classroom, from the marketplace to the microphone, women are leading, innovating, and transforming our continent every day.
Oh, here's to knowing that as a woman, your voice can change the world.
Your voice matters. Your story inspires. Your presence is powerful. This Women's Month, we honor you. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126.
I can see my whole world changing.
And contribute to the conversation.
It's 9 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time, and it is time for What Caught Your Eye? We'd love to hear from you this afternoon on our WhatsApp line. It's +27 63 406 9126, or alternatively, comment below on our lives at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. What caught your eye this afternoon? Matseko, what caught your eye?
I saw somebody tweet from not Lagos, Abuja.
Is the capital?
The other capital.
Oh, is it the other capital?
It's the other one.
I thought Abuja is the capital.
It's not Lagos, ne?
No,
it is Abuja.
Abuja is the
okay,
capital.
so I'm the incorrect one. You indeed correct.
Most people know that Lagos. They think Lagos. So
yeah, I mean, okay, Lagos is the leisure city. You know, it's a popular one, but Abuja is the capital city. You're absolutely right. In Nigeria, I picked up a tweet from somebody tweeting from there, talking about a story of. And I mean, the story is yet to be verified, although there were a lot of comments from people all over Nigeria. I mean, literally in all the states. A story about a brand new iPhone that was bought in Nigeria, brand new, that was bought in Nigeria. And then it was declared stolen in an iPhone store in the UK. So this particular person, as I understand it, bought the iPhone in Nigeria at an iStore. Which apparently there's no iStore in Nigeria, you know, according to the comments.
Okay.
And then when they went to the UK, I don't know why they went to the UK. They were traveling to the UK, and checked in with one of the iStores there, and it turns out that this is a fake or rather a stolen phone. So I tried to do some searches online to, you know, ascertain as to whether this is true or fake. Is it a true story? Possibly. You know, are there no iPhone stores in Nigeria? I mean, first of all, that doesn't make sense to me, because how does that even happen? How is it there's no iStores in Nigeria? But a lot of comments. I need to find that too. There were a lot of comments on Twitter of Nigerians saying there is no iPhone store in Nigeria.
Well, it appears there are.
A legitimate one.
There are two iPhone stores under the istore.com.ng website. There is an iStore in Ikeja City Mall in Lagos, right? And then there is Jabi Lake Mall in Abuja as well. So there are iPhone stores. These are the two that are listed here on the iStore website from Nigeria. So yeah, there are two of them based on this website anyway.
Okay, so in this instance, let's be the detectives. Okay, say this phone is stolen, and then it was detected in the UK that it's a stolen phone. So you've stolen a new iPhone, basically, or you've bought a stolen iPhone from an. I mean, it's just really complicated. But there is possibly some truth to it, because when you look at iPhones, they can be flagged as stolen and then blacklisted. As I understand it, you can blacklist an iPhone, right?
Yes.
Or iCloud can lock it before the sale. So my confusion is, how does it then how do you purchase it from a legitimate store if it is already flagged as a stolen phone from a legitimate store? Do you get where I'm going with this?
This one is very confusing, this one. It is confusing.
I'm very confused.
Because if you did buy it from a legitimate iPhone store, then everything should check out. If it was blacklisted, whatever, they would check the serial number of this particular phone to ensure that it is not flagged anywhere, and then they will sell it to you. I don't think they would knowingly sell a phone that has been blacklisted. So I think we need to check in on this and see exactly how this particular story happened. But now it puts to question what happens when you buy something stolen from a legitimate company. What are the repercussions then?
I think perhaps that's why so many Nigerians were like, but there is no such store. Because if it was legitimate and not a grey listed, seller, random seller from a warehouse somewhere, then you shouldn't be able to use it anyway, because iPhone would have dealt with that. But anyway, I thought to put out the story because perhaps you're in Nigeria and you're listening live and you can verify the story for us. The platform can serve as that as well, where we can just put out information, and you can be participate in some citizen journalism for us,
journalism. You're undercover right now.
And tell us undercover, what's happening with the story. But anyway, I thought it very interesting.
So firstly, let us know if you're from Nigeria listening in right now. Is there indeed iPhone stores, iStores in Nigeria selling, iPhone products? Right, and the person, I don't know if we can get in touch with this person who said, I went to the UK and is red flagged it saying it's stolen. Maybe we should get them online and say and see exactly how it happened, which particular iStore they went to, and do our own investigation. We'll continue. Our WhatsApp line is +2 763 406 9126, or alternatively comment below on our TikTok account. It's at Channel Africa 1. So here's what caught my eye.
Tell us.
You know how how do you pronounce Turkey?
Turkey. Not Turkey.
Oh.
It's not Afrikaans nie. Okay. It's Middle Eastern. Turkey.
Right. Turkey.
Yes, there we go.
You know how in Turkey people go there for cosmetic surgeries, they go there for the BBLs, they go there for this and that. Mostly women go to Turkey. Now men are starting to go to Turkey as well.
For teeth, I would imagine.
It's not for teeth. It's not for hair. It's for limb lengthening.
Like as in the third member?
As in getting taller.
Oh.
If you would like to get taller, apparently now there are surgeries that you can go and check out and undergo in Turkey. Right, it's a limb lengthening surgery, which typically involves surgically cutting a bone, usually in the leg, then gradually separating the segments to allow new bone growth. The technique includes external fixators like the Lazarov or internal magnetic nail systems, and Turkey has now become a popular destination for cosmetic limb lengthening due to advanced technologies, experienced orthopedic teams, and comprehensive care. But the reality of this surgery is that it is excruciatingly painful. Right? Patients who have undergone limb lengthening surgeries have described using an Allen key or a fixator to manually stretch bones daily, and sometimes at the cost of intense pain, sleepless nights, and even serious complications. Here are the costs. On average, in Turkey, it's about $35,000 to $63,000. So if you've ever wanted to be taller, right? My problem is the proportion. Now your legs are taller, but what about your arms and
your torsos? Everything's out of balance.
It's a problem.
It is a problem, but look, there are certain nations on the African continent that don't need this type of surgery.
Sudan.
Okay? If you are Dinka from South Sudan, you don't need it. If you're a Tutsi from Rwanda and Burundi, you don't need this. Okay? We're not talking to you. And if you're Nur from Ethiopia, you don't need it because those people are 6 feet upwards. Unfortunately, I don't see South Africa on the list. So we might be the target audience.
Let us know if you would undergo limb lengthening surgery to get taller. It's 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news with Onel Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Deboho. Looking at your top stories. Burkina Faso junta expels top UN official over child rights report, and an international rhino poaching syndicate dismantled. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Burkina Faso's junta has expelled the UN's top official to the West African nation over a report about children caught up in the jihadist conflict. Carol Flor Smereziniak was declared persona non grata because of her role in drafting the report that came out in March. Covering a 2-year period, the study detailed more than 2,000 cases of reported child recruitment, killings, sexual violence and abuse, blaming Islamist insurgents, government soldiers and civilian defense forces. The military government, which came to power in September 2022 and is led by Captain Ibrahim Traore, said it had not been consulted by the UN, saying the report contained unfounded allegations. The Southern African Development Community leaders assembled for a summit in Madagascar to deliberate on key programs amid pressing global challenges. Madagascar President André Rajoelina has taken over as the SADC chair. The highlight of the meeting was the ceremonial handover of the SADC chairpersonship of the Council of Ministers. Human rights activists and researchers at the Thabo Mbeki African School of Public and International Affairs, Advocate Sipho Mantula, weighs in on the meeting.
The SADC, one of the challenges that they've been going through for the past 45 years is this question of integration, industrialization. But I think also Madagascar takes this chairpersonship for Madagascar. The main challenge that they will be facing is to how to understand also the dynamics around climate change as they've also been going through cyclones, transition, because the question that this region needs to have efficient power supply is very important. But finally, I think for them, it will be important how to navigate the conflicts that are within the region of SADC.
More than 300 e-hailing operators are marching to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature in Johannesburg, South Africa, to hand over a memorandum of grievances and demands. The group will then move to the Provincial Department of Transport to hand over another memorandum in which they complained about impounding of vehicles and the challenges relating to the issuing of operating licenses. The march comes amid tension between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers, which saw an e-hailing driver killed and 2 e-hailing vehicles burnt outside Maponya Mall in Soweto in the south of Johannesburg last week. The Secretary General of E-Hailing Partners Council, Melithemba Mnguni.
We lodged a complaint early this year on the 11th of February to the legislature, which was received and acknowledged. We were told that we'll get feedback. We never got anything. Eventually, 2 months later, we phoned the chairperson of the Transport and Logistics Committee, who said he does not know about the complaint. And then he said, look, I'm going to look into the complaint, then I'll come back to you. And after that, the chairperson never came back to us. So we're going there to raise those grievances, but also to make demands that within 7 days, they should be able to communicate back to give us a date and make sure that there is a hearing.
Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has arrived in Japan for the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Mnangagwa is leading a delegation comprising of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Finance and others for the two-day event, which begins tomorrow. ZANU-PF's Communications Director, Farai Marapira.
As Zimbabwe, we've thrown off the pariah status that we've had over the years through the disinformation campaign that was against us. And we are now one of the prime investment destinations in Africa. We are a haven of resource. And this is what we are building upon. We are a country that has opened its doors to all and sundry, and the president has made it very clear that our doors are open. We're willing to parley, we're willing to talk, we're willing to thrive together with anyone who wants to join us in mutual beneficiation. So this is essentially our angle, and this is essentially our message as led by our president. Anything that can aid us in pushing forward our growth agenda towards an upper middle income economy by the year 2030.
Lastly, an international rhino poaching syndicate has been dismantled. The 5 men and a woman have appeared before the Pretoria Magistrate Court in South Africa today after being linked to a fraudulent scheme involving over 960 rhino horns destined for illegal markets in Southeast Asia. It is alleged the suspects frauded the Forestry, Fisheries and Environment Department by securing permits under false pretense to buy and sell rhino horns domestically while funneling them into illegal international markets. Recapping on your top stories, Burkina Faso's junta has expelled the UN's top official to the West African nation over a report about children caught up in the jihadist conflict. Channel Africa News, I'm Onelin Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Seven minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with Tebogo Lekuleni and Matsheko Mosito, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. We are still in our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, broadcasting to the entire world. And you can stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Search www.channelafrica.co.za on your browser so you can stream us anywhere around the world. Download the SABC Plus app on your Android or your iOS device so you can take us with you wherever you go. And if you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628. Let us know where you are listening to us from this afternoon on our WhatsApp line, +27 63 406 9126. Madam Tseko, we'll be talking all things film. Are you excited about this film coming out in South Africa?
You know, this doesn't count. I took my children to go watch the Smurfs over the weekend, but I need to go and check out a good adult film, okay?
Smurfs has adult themes in there.
Well, they do, but I'm not talking about that kind of adult. I'm talking as in just like a grown film. Perhaps that's the right word. A grown film.
Okay.
And I think an opportunity to go see Cop and a Half, is a good one, okay? Because this is a film put together by award-winning filmmaker and writer and an actor, Jonathan Boyton Lee. If you are familiar with, South African television, top billing, you would know who that is. So he's part of this homegrown story, as well as I didn't think I would see the day where I would interview my former boss on radio. Okay, so we're going to be talking to Yusuf Stevens.
Your former boss?
Cheeky, he was my boss, Cheeky Media.
Did he like you? Did you like him?
Listen, we loved each other because he made sure that I get paid what I asked for. No, in all fairness, he was very generous, and this is a company, Cheeky Media, or Cheeky Studios as they're now called. They used to produce a talk show known as Real Talk. It was presented by the famous Anne Lemdoda. And as she was the outgoing presenter, I came in to produce the television show, and Azania had taken over as a host. But it looks like he's back with a bang. He's coming through as well in his capacity as Chief Executive Officer of Cheeky Studios and the executive producer of this particular film that we're going to be talking about.
It's going to be a fun conversation and a reunion. Also, A Cop and a Half. That conversation, a brand new South African film, is coming up next.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
Mangadomoya uwe khulu buhlakani ukulula isandla kunobusi mndeni wami cela ukukhumbula abazali bami.
16 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Beautiful music from Nomfundo Mo. Izibusiso. Blessings. Blessing on blessing on blessing. And tell you what, it's such a blessing to have you join us on The Upside this afternoon on Channel Africa, The African Perspective. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. We are about to talk about a brand new South African film. Hollywood, move over. Move over, Hollywood. We are keeping it local this time, because Joburg is taking the lead with a brand new South African action comedy. Cop and a Half is about to explode onto Amazon Prime Video from the 20th of August. Think chaos, comedy, and crime in the heart of Josie, starring Jonathan Boynton Lee and Trevor Gumbi in a buddy cop flick with pure local swagger. It's the first feature film from Cheeky Studio, a powerhouse known for its hits like TV shows, The Man Cave and Real Talk. Now they're stepping into the global scripted contented game with a bang. Ahead of its premiere this evening, we'll be joined by Yusuf Stevens, CEO of Cheeky Studios and executive producer, and Jonathan Boynton Lee, writer and lead actor, to unpack the journey, the madness, and the magic bringing Cop and a Half to life. Good afternoon to you both, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll start with you, Yusuf. Cheeky Studios has been behind some of South Africa's biggest television shows and properties. Why was now the right moment to leap into feature filmmaking?
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I think it's a combination of opportunity and, I guess, necessity. We've been doing TV for 11 years now, and with the landscape in terms of consumption habits changing, the likes of Netflix and Amazon and all of these video on demand platforms coming in big. I think it's a massive opportunity. And also for us to kind of adapt to the times and keep challenging ourselves in terms of trying something new. At the end of the day, we're storytellers, so we want to tell the story in every possible way, I guess.
It sounds exciting. I think the leap into, one form of storytelling to the next shows growth, shows progression, and also that we are really taking the power in our hands to tell our own stories. Jonathan, let's talk about, let's get you in the mix here, okay? You not only wrote this film, but you also star in it. So let's talk about how you were able to strike that balance between the two roles, because they are very demanding in their own special way. So let's talk about Jonathan, the writer, and how that helped shape Jonathan, the performer on screen.
Oh, I don't think we have. Do we have Jonathan on the line? We may be struggling. There we go. Jonathan, are you with us?
Testing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
We can hear you. Cop.
Okay. I haven't used Zoom since COVID, so I had to download it quickly.
Oh my goodness!
The technical problems are like, I can't remember how to use this thing.
Jonathan, I tell you what, let's take a quick breather so you can catch your breath, and when we get back, you can answer Matseko's question. It's 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Tumetoka kusikiliza wimbo na huo ni utunzi wako, wewe ndio umeandika mistari na imani wewe ndio umeandika mstari. Tuanzie kwenye jina. Wimbo unaenda kwa jina gani?
Wimbo unaitwa Kanjori.
Kanjori. Kanjori maana yake nini?
Kama jinsi nilivyoimba. Nauza wazo leo, kesho na wazo wa uzuri wake, mwendo wake. Sijapata sio mfikirio. Ukikau matendo ya chake changu chake.
Unatisha kwelikweli. Aha, Kanjori, ni historia gani au message gani ambayo imefichama nyuma ya wimbo huu?
Kanjori kwa ufupi ni kitu kizuri, yani kitu kidogo, kitu kadogo yani, alafu ni kazuri ambapo kanavutia kwa kila mtu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Welcome back. We are talking all things Cop and a Half, okay? It is a film blending some sharp humor, some unexpected twists, and homegrown storytelling. On the line with us, Jonathan Boyton Lee. He is joining us in his capacity as both producer and on-screen actor, as well as the CEO of Cheeky Studios. Almost said Cheeky Media because that's what I've been saying for many years, right? Cheeky Studios, that's Yusuf Stevens. So let's pick up where we left off, okay, Jonathan? I was asking you about the balance between the two roles of writer slash producer, and then you've got to perform. How do those two roles kind of shape, you know, each other and shape you as you get into those roles?
So obviously it's very tricky wearing a whole lot of hats, because you ideally just want to focus on getting the character right. So when the cameras roll, you got to click into character, and then when the cameras stop rolling, you've got the other hat to wear, and now you got to worry about the scene, and we are rewriting things on set. And I was a creative producer, so luckily we had the brains in Yusuf was the exec producer and the producer. I was just a creative producer, so luckily I had him having my back with all the super complicated stuff. But still, it's difficult. It's very challenging, obviously, to just be able to focus on the character. It's impossible because there's a million other things going on in your mind. You have to turn off the noise. When the cameras roll, you turn off the noise, you get into character. When the cameras cut, then you're back into another role. You're writing again, you're creative producing, you're chatting to Yusuf about all the problems of the day and how we can solve the problems, and then it's back into character again. So yeah, it was a lot. You can see how grey I am. I wasn't like this before.
It looks good on you.
Thank you.
I actually want to get to the point, and I'll ask you, Jonathan, a bit later, which hat you prefer to wear the most. But for now, let's ask Yusuf. Cop and a Half. Yusuf, what makes this one different? This is another buddy cop film. Why is this one different compared to the ones we've seen locally and globally?
So yeah, I mean, I think that from a local point of view, this is unlike anything we've seen from South Africa. You know, there's a formula for the whole buddy cop genre overseas, and you know, in Hollywood, in the UK, and the US, and it works. So you know, when we started speaking to distributors and the platforms, we wanted insights into what can we produce that can be proudly South African, but at the same time speak to a broader, you know, audience. So as much as the movie is obviously very South African, we did want it to be a little bit broader so that it has appeal in a bigger market. And I think that, you know, from a South African point of view, and we've tried very hard to find, you know, a buddy cop action comedy genre that's South African, like this. It's definitely unique, but you're not gonna, you know, don't take my word for it. I think you guys all just need to, you know, at midnight becomes available globally, so please check, and you let us know what you think is special about this one, you know.
Yusuf, let's stay on just this interesting blend, but this is more an entrepreneurship question, because you are the business in this whole deal. The film is, you know, blending all sorts of things. When we look at comedy, you know, some local flavor, some action, which makes it really exciting as we speak about it. But like you say, we've got to check it out. Let's talk about like funding aspects, because I think, and we were having a conversation in the boardroom a little bit earlier with some of our colleagues, and we were talking about just the issue around being able to fund films successfully on the African continent. You know, how are you able to navigate that successfully and really come up with a world-class African film?
You know, I think this is the problem that everyone faces. We always say that there's so much talent here, there's so many stories here that can be told, and it generally falls flat because there's no infrastructure actually to help guide, creatives or to support them in the meaningful ways. So I've been blessed because, I actually come from a background in finance. If you told me 20 years ago that I'd be in media, I would never have believed you. So I do come with more of a kind of business mind than a creative mind. Like, I don't consider myself to be too creative. I've had to learn and pick up things, and that's why I always surround myself with people like Jonathan, because they just see the vision and they see the detail in it. And I guess what I bring to the party is that I can zoom out and I can see the vision, but I can kind of see the steps for how we're going to get there. And it's never easy. This wasn't an easy project. We kind of fought tooth and nail to get into this space. Remember, we've been the TV guys for so long that almost got typecast into that, and there was no one kind of handing out checks or opportunity for us to pursue this vision or this dream or this goal. So I don't have the straight up answer for you, but I do wish that that there was more support for filmmakers specifically, because there's so many exciting, authentic stories that can be told. We just need to figure out the model with it. From this project's point of view, we're lucky enough to obviously have the other side of the business. We kind of said that because no one's willing to give us a chance, we'll have to create the opportunity for ourselves. And we self-funded this, the entire project, which is not easy to do. Budgets are always tight. You can always do with more, but you always actually have less. And because we weren't going to compromise on what the final product looked like, we had to be really creative in how we got to this point. So, between myself, Jonathan, Odette, and the rest of the team, it was just how are we going to make this this dream, which is in IMAX, work with a local budget. So it's always a challenge, and I'm hopeful that things will change and get a little easier, and there's more support moving forward for people like us, for storytellers, for producers, for filmmakers.
Well, we are glad that it came together, because tonight it will be the premiere of Cop and a Half. And I wanted to get back to you, Jonathan. Earlier I was asking which hat you prefer to wear the most. You're an award-winning TV host, you're an actor, you're a director, you're a producer. At some point you were the sexiest man alive. Which hat do you enjoy wearing the most?
I'll take the sexiest man. That was a while ago. I'll have that back any day. So it's impossible. I love filmmaking. So I love being on set, and it's difficult for me not to want to be involved in everything, especially if it's my baby, So in an ideal world, I'll do it all. I'll direct, I'll write, and I'll act. That's the perfect trifecta for me.
The perfect trifecta. Love it for you. Yeah. I don't know if we've got some extra time, gentlemen, if we could pick up an additional 10 minutes just to talk about the launch and just the exciting buzz around that for South Africans and other Southern Africans or Africans that can get access to this film. Do you have some extra time for us?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
10?
Okay, perfect.
Yusuf needs about 3 hours to get ready, so...
It's all the hair and makeup.
Listen, he will be fine. He will be just fine.
Because I've got to stand next to that sexy man there.
Oh, my goodness.
I do need a little bit of extra time,
Okay, let's take a quick news update, sports news update and econ, and we'll be right back.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So the German Football Federation has opened an investigation into alleged racist abuse incidents at 2 German Cup matches, with the German Soccer Federation having confirmed this on Monday after FIFA President Gianni Infantino condemned the incidents. Now, the alleged racial abuse incidents occurred on Sunday in the first round of the DFB Cup matches during second tier aside Schalke's 4-1-0 victory away at 4th tier Lokomotiv Leipzig, and also during the second tier Kaiser Lusten's 7-0 win away to 5th tier side RSV Eintracht. Now, the match at Lokomotiv Leipzig was halted for about 13 minutes when Schalke midfielder Christopher Antwe Adeji, who is a black player, reported racist incidents, insult from the crowd to the assistant referee. Now, Antwe Adeji, who is a Ghana international, was born in Germany. Back home now, Athletics South Africa's high-performance manager Ezekiel Sipeng insists his vision to revitalise the national relay teams is finally paying off. Now, the men's 4x100-metre relay squad, made up of Akani Simbeni, there's also Bayanda Walaza, Bradley Ngwana and Sean Maswangai, who captured the silver medal at last year's Paris Olympic Games, have now been shortlisted for the Team of the Year at the upcoming SA Sports Awards. They will compete for the accolade against the Proteas women's cricket team, as well as wheelchair tennis Paralympic bronze medalist Donald Rampadi, as well as Lucas Sotole. Sipeng recounted just how he convinced SA leadership back in 2016 to prioritise the relay project.
When I made the proposals, and then the CEO stand up and Khosana at that time. We have good athletes that are not qualified individually. If we can combine this, especially we started with the 4x1, and I looked at the countries like Japan and China, at that time, 2016, they got medals in the relays. And that is where this whole thing of the relays started.
So South Africa last won a medal at the World Senior Championships in London back in 2017. Determined now to bring the country back to the podium, Sipeng developed a strategy as well as launched the National Relay Project. Since its inception, South Africa has earned a silver medal at the Olympic Games and 4 medals across the 2 World Championship relay events in the Bahamas and China.
And the only thing in the back of my mind was, how do we get them to the podium? How do we get them to get the medals? And that is where the relay project was initiated also. Here's an opportunity for us as a federation, because before then nobody believed in the relay.
On to rugby news now, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has called up experienced Springbok wing Makazola Mapimpi to the squad ahead of their final rugby championship match against Australia in Cape Town on Saturday, as the captain Siya Kolisi as well as Kurtley Arendse were released due to an injury concern. Now, Kolisi as well as Arendse both suffered injuries at last weekend's 38-22 defeat against Australia and are expected to be sidelined for a few weeks. And while there is enough cover in the squad at loose forward, Erasmus has opted to call up Mapimpi as backline cover. Mapimpi currently boasts 47 test matches and will undoubtedly bring a lot of experience to the Bok backline. And finally, Kyle Edmund has been forced to retire at just the age of 30 after going through a turbulent few years due to injuries. Edmund, who rose to a career high world ranking of 14th in October of 2018 after winning his maiden ATP Tour title in Belgium, also reached the semi-finals of the Australian Open that same year, becoming the second Brit since Andy Murray to achieve the feat in the Open era. His second ATP title came at 2022 in New York at the New York Open in that year. However, injuries have derailed his career, forcing him to undergo knee surgeries in November of 2020, March of 2021 and May of 2022. He also struggled with wrist, abdominal, hip as well as foot injuries. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. Back with the final sports update for the afternoon in the next hour. As always, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibu Makhura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Well, it's 37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the final business update on the upside this afternoon. Matapelo Mahape standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Thank you, Deborah, and good afternoon. The South African construction industry has raised concerns about the potential liquidation of the iconic company, Murray and Roberts. The key industry players and labour unions say this will have a profound impact on the sector. A creditor has initiated legal proceedings in the Gauteng division of the High Court seeking a final or provisional winding up order against the company. In a surprising turn of events, Murray and Roberts has indicated that it does not intend to oppose this application. This comes after a period of intense financial distress for the company, which had been undergoing a business rescue process. The South African Council for the Project and Construction Management Professions, Lufuno Rutsiku, says the liquidation will serve as a blow.
It represents a very sad scenario. These are organizations that are employing our professionals in the construction industry. And if you understand, Murray and Roberts happen to be one of the listed companies at some stage with Johannesburg Stock Exchange, with an estimated number of employees around 2021 sitting at 10,000 be higher. So you can imagine that the loss of jobs and employment opportunities in this type of economy that we are facing in South Africa.
Women in construction sector in South Africa's Mpumalanga province have raised concerns about recognition, lack of opportunities and late payments for work done. They raised their concerns during a dialogue with representatives of the provincial government in Mbombela. The dialogue was aimed at addressing challenges as well as creating a favourable environment to benefit women in construction. The South African Women in Construction and Built Environment President Thembeka Mnisi says they want equal opportunities as men in the sector. And the South African Constitutional Court is currently hearing arguments in a high-stakes rand manipulation case involving local and international banks. Some of these banks are settled out of court, while others were cleared of collusion by the Competition Appeals Court in 2023. These banks are accused of conspiring to fix a rand-dollar exchange rate through information sharing in secret chat rooms between 2007 and 2013. Despite the National Treasury's view that there was no material impact as it was limited only to certain clients, the Competition Commission has launched an appeal to the Constitutional Court to overturn a ruling that cleared the banks of collusion. Representing the Competition Commission advocate Thembeka Nqukaitombi says this action was an attack on South Africa's sovereignty.
But here what we have is something unique, which is that they targeted the sign of our sovereignty, which is the rand, in a perverse scheme driven by profit motives. And perhaps, if for anything else, for this reason alone, the judicial institutions of South Africa are the only institutions across the world that have a legal interest in the prosecution of this cartel. At the heart of it is the rand.
Utility company Black Hills says it will buy Peer Northwestern Energy by $3.6 billion. This is expected to create a larger regulated utility with a greater scale to invest in grid infrastructure and meet rising energy demand. Consolidation in the U.S. power sector has boomed, propelled by the projections of record electricity demand over the next 2 years amid rapid expansion of energy-intensive AI and cryptocurrency data centers, along with increased residential and commercial consumption. Onto this now, Air Canada's unionized flight attendants have reached an agreement to end the first strike by its cabin crew in 40 years, which had disrupted travel plans of hundreds of thousands of passengers. The strike, which lasted nearly 4 years, had led the airline to withdraw its third quarter and full year earnings guidance. The Canadian Union of Public Employees has completed mediation with the airline and its low-cost affiliate Air Canada Rogue. Some flights will be cancelled over the next 7 to 10 days until the schedule is stabilized, and consumers with cancelled flights can choose between a refund, travel credit, or rebooking on another airline. And look at your financial indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 530. In Botswana, it's 13.24. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 38, and Zambia it's at 23 kwacha 19. The BRICS countries, $1 is trading at 5 real 41. Russia it's 80 rubles 4. India it's 87 rupees 37. In China it's 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 61 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. And look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $3,335 and platinum at $1,343 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $75.83 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matapelo Mahape.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The Upside with Tebogo Likuleni and Matseko Musito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Like in the movies, there are no crazy gunfights or fist fights or explosions. You're not chasing after people in the street. Sounds gut already.
There's a woman, she dresses in bright.
All right, that was just a little snippet of the trailer of Cop and a Half, okay? They have brought it to life. That is Cheeky Studios, and we've been in conversation, of course, with the producers and the partnership lead of this particular film that is launching tomorrow, hey? We're launching the film tonight. We're launching it tonight. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, the premiere's tonight, yeah.
Yes, we're premiering the film tonight. Yusuf Stevens is the producer and CEO of Cheeky Studios, and Jonathan Boynton Lee joining us in his capacity as writer and lead actor. Yusuf, you are wearing your executive producer hat, and we just heard the trailer. So let's talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of bring the story to life. I saw some of the imagery with Trevor Gumbi. There's just like a lot of action. There's flames. I mean, it's really exciting to see the trailer and to get some idea of what this film is about. So talk to us about putting the elements together in this film to make it look the way it does.
Yeah, I mean, sure. It's, it's funny enough started with just a casual conversation between John and I. So John and I, obviously, as friends, go way back. We worked on projects together, Top Billing, The Man Cave, and, this started in 2019, believe it or not.
Wow.
So we opted to just we just said, let's talk less, let's do more. And we opted to go produce like some sort of a proof of concept, for lack of a better term for it. We went out, we did that, and then COVID hit. So everything was kind of put on ice, for a long time. But we were fairly proactive, and we wanted to get the process going. We started the application for funding, etc., etc. And then years passed, and we did get an approval from the DTI, and then we realized, like, whoa, we've got to roll cameras in like 2 months, I think. I think we had 60 days before the offer expired.
Oh, wow.
And that's how it started. We started off kind of running,
Jonathan, I want to talk to you about chemistry on air or on screen with Trevor Kumbi. Talk to us about that. And then the stunts in this film.
Yeah.
Did you do them yourself, or did you have a stunt double? Jonathan, are you connected? Are you still with us? Oh, I think let's work on getting Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan is there. Jonathan, can you hear us? All right, it could be, maybe he's on mute. Maybe he's on mute, perhaps. Jonathan. Oh, okay, all right. We're gonna, Yusuf, talk to us about that.
I'll answer.
Yeah, chemistry and then stunt doubles. How many were they actually used for Jonathan and Trevor? Because they look like they could do their own stunts.
No, Jonathan did his own stunts. We, again, with everything, budgets are always limited.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world, he gets 3 months to do some stunt training, and he can just get ready for this. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but like, there's a certain way that you need to fall so that you don't injure yourself.
Yeah.
Like, those small things that happen on set, and I hope Jonathan's mic does come back on, because it's funnier when he says it. But from where I'm standing, we had our stunt girl. Her name is Nadine. She actually also stars in the film, and she was brought on as the stunt person, who eventually we just used as the role because it just kind of worked. But yeah, you have Jonathan, he's not short and he's not a small guy, and then you've got Nadine, who's this petite little woman, and she's throwing him around, and literally just whooping him every way possible.
One, two.
So there we go. There we go.
Oh, we've got Jonathan. We've got you.
I've spilled some tea.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, Jonathan. Yusuf was spilling some tea on some of the stunt work that was done. Because I was asking the question, did you do your own stunts, or did you have a stunt double? And obviously the chemistry between yourself and Trevor Kumbi.
Yeah, no, we had an amazing stunt team. I had to do my own stunts because, I think, as Yusuf was saying, it's not a Hollywood budget where you get all your stunt doubles and everything like that, which was fun but very painful. And luckily we had a Nadine, as he said, who we actually cast a stunt woman in one of the roles to save ourselves the trouble of having to get an actor to learn all these stunts.
Yeah.
And she was amazing, kind of making us look good. Basically, she helped choreograph the fight scenes. A lot of the fight scenes we had to choreograph on the day because there just wasn't time before. So what's really cool is a lot of the fights look quite messy. But it works for the story because it's that kind of messy story where they definitely wouldn't look like a Bruce Lee fight. It's a very messy fight. It's a street fight. And then regarding chemistry with Trevor, I hadn't actually met him before, so it was quite a gamble. We wrote, Maren Reddy was the other writer as well, and we had actually written with Trevor in mind, just having a hunch that he would work for the role. So it was quite a gamble. We were really nervous about what if there's no chemistry? What if it doesn't work? We cast him now. I mean, obviously we auditioned him, so we had that little bit of audition time to go by, and even in the auditions, it just felt right. And luckily it just clicked on set.
It sounds incredible. Okay, so let's talk about the premiere. It's happening tonight. And as I understand it, it will be in Johannesburg. So let's talk about the premiere and then give us details of where we can actually catch this wonderful, bold, locally rooted film.
I'll jump in before we leak information. I don't know if it's a good idea to say where the premiere is happening because we are.
Of course
it's funny.
not. Of course not. Yeah.
we actually initially thought we were going to do a small premiere. So, main cast, crew, a small celebration for the people who worked on the project. Obviously, media and some influencers just to generate hype. And before you know it, like we're at close to 250 people.
Oh wow!
We had to book out another cinema, and it's turned into like a real celebration, I guess, of the film, which we really appreciate. So tonight we premiere the movie to all of our stakeholders, our partners, our cast and crew, our friends and family, and as of tomorrow, the movie's streaming globally on Amazon Prime. So that's where you'd catch the movie.
Oh, we can't wait to see this movie. Jonathan and Yusuf, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. All the best. Cop and a Half is out on Amazon's Video tomorrow, the 20th of August. Check it out. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time this afternoon on The Upside.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Bana Boy huyo anajulikana kama Damini Ebunoluwa Ogolo, maarufu kama Bana Boy. Alizaliwa Julai 2 mwaka 1991. Ni mwimbaji na mwandishi wa nyimbo kutoka nchini Nigeria. Alipata umaarufu mnamo mwaka 2012 baada ya kutoa wimbo wake wa kwanza kabisa ambao ulijulikana kwa jina la Like to Party kutoka ndani ya studio Live 2013. Mnamo mwaka wa 2017 Bana Boy alisaini na bendi Habit Atlantic Records huko Marekani na Warner Music Group. Albamu yake ya tatu ya studio ya nje 2018 iliweka alama ya kwanza ya lebo yake. Mnamo mwaka 2019 alishinda sheria ya kimataifa ya bora kabisa kwenye tuzo za BET za 2019. Alitangazwa pia kama msanii wa Apple Music's Up Next.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on The Upside.
Quand tu prendras de l'âge, eh bien tu comprendras ce message. De l'ami de ton pèlerinage, et tu le reconnais par son plumage. Je ne parle pas de son visage. Je ne parle pas de sa voiture. Et non, je ne parle pas de son compte bancaire. Quand tu prendras de l'âge, eh bien tu comprendras ce message. Et l'ami de ton pèlerinage, bébé tu le reconnaîtras par son plumage. Mais moi je ne parle pas de son visage. Non, 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 non. Je ne parle pas de sa voiture. Non, 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 non. Mais moi je ne parle pas de son compte bancaire. Non, 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 non. Reste là pour mon éveil. Et moi j'ai bafoué tout mon orgueil. Mais ce soir on ira voir des écureuils assis sur un nouveau fauteuil. Mais combien je ne parle pas de son visage. Non, non, non. Non, 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 non. Je ne parle pas de sa voiture. Non, 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 non. Non, 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 non. Non, 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 Reste là pour mon éveil. Mais moi j'ai bafoué tout mon orgueil. Mais ce soir on ira voir des écureuils assis sur un nouveau fauteuil. Et combien je ne parle pas de son visage. Non, non, non. Non, 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 non. Non, 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 non. Tu prendras de l'âge, et bien tu comprendras ce message. Et l'ami de ton pèlerinage, et bien tu le reconnaîtras par son plumage. Mais moi je ne parle pas de son visage. Non, 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 non.
This afternoon on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. If you're streaming us live and wondering what is happening, why are you sitting like this? That's because in about 3-4 minutes time,
yes,
Tami Ngubeni will be taking over with Africa in Business. But before that, did you enjoy the show this afternoon?
This is the best time of my day. 1 to 4. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Matseko Musito, the best time of the day. It was wonderful. It really was. Did you enjoy the show?
Loved it. I enjoyed our conversation about wellness, right? And talking specifically about buying illicit drugs for the purposes of weight loss online. And what are the red flags we need to look out for to avoid buying products and drugs that are going to be very detrimental to your health. And then wrapping up the conversation, or a different conversation, talking about skin care. In our wellness routine, skin care and skin routine, very important, something we often overlook. And it allowed me to reflect and say, maybe I need to go to a dermatologist and get a specialist to look at my skin and tell me if I'm on the right track.
And analyze.
I'm in alignment. 100%. But we are now joined.
I'm not going to ask any
Talk about skincare and skin routine.
Save yourself,
No, I really will not. I'm going to leave you to it.
All right.
And your pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Really, really quickly. Here's what we've got in store for you this afternoon on Africa in Business. We'll be taking a look at Total Energies and the controversy that continues to surround them. There's a movement called Kick Polluters Out. They're hosting a long week demonstration. And I really don't need to tell you any more about the story because I think the slogan of the march says exactly what it is
Yeah,
that they're fighting about. So we'll be speaking this afternoon to the coordinator for East African Crude Oil Pipeline Campaign, Zaki Mamdou, who will be telling us more about that.
Okay.
Looking forward to that conversation. I think I've got my own takes on it, but I don't have time to go through all of them. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Upside this afternoon, to the whole Upside team, to the Upside family. Thank you for joining us. We'll do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, African Business is coming up next.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet.